Fucking just chilling in the Addy right now because I gotta start pulling apart all of this to get the dash loom out so we can start swapping that shit over into the Crewmud. So in between, I've gone to the effort and swapped in the V8 K-frame where the CVs go all through there. So that's all bolted in and correct. These bushings are going to need replacing along with the CVs as that one's popped apart incorrectly and that one's fucked. Along with there just being rust in this side of it. I don't understand why it's all this side and nothing this side. Inside the Crewmud though is still very dirty, dusty, and storing all of the parts I have for it. So you don't need to see any of this. I'm gonna do all of this off cam. All the old interior, I'm gonna go sit in the tonner so it's stored somewhere. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do a real good clean and vacuum and sort out some of the bolts I've got in here. I've pulled the rest of the shit from the interior out of the Crewmud, and originally I was just going to vacuum it, but I figured at this point I may as well just take off the extra clips that you'll find along the front, 1 and 2, just there, and pull the entire carpet up and out. The only other thing I've done, it's probably worth noting, is the bolts on the upside there, and that jig, or little piece, are bolted into these, which is what holds your rear seats in Crewmuds, and then the whole thing just comes straight out. Then under the carpet in the back of them, it's just these holes, and that unclips off of the plastic. That one's been taken out because that's where we're going to be relocating the battery to. And we're going to make the main power follow along that trim, and we're going to set the battery in there, and the dual battery will go under this one as well, once I've gone and dremeled them out a little bit. Also take note that this small gap in the carpet is where the plugs for the seats come through. Same on that side as well. There's one for the seat over there. I think that's the main ones as far as, I think this clip needs to come off as well. Other than that, I think that's all of your clips you'll find. One for your pedal, the rest has to come out as well. It's just two 10mm bolts. Easy as piss, that one. And here we have one Crewmud carpet removed so that it can be properly cleaned, as it is absolutely filthy in so much of this, as it's never been cleaned the entire time I've had Crewmud. So we've just proceeded to fill it with dirts and oils and muds and never bothered to properly clean it at all. So this is gonna get a fucking fine clean. Jesus Christ. So while I got the carpet out, went ahead and pulled out the old auto shifter, which is going to go in the tonner because it's once busted. As the Adventurers and the Cross 8s and whatnot don't actually use this style of automatic shifter. They have a cable style shifter instead. As you can see down there, that's the cable that actually connects to the shifter up underneath. And it is these two bolts, this washer, the split pin, and this piece here, over on the drivetrain. All bolts into that small piece there, and that clip goes back here just to hold the cable up and out of the road. And that obviously goes up to the body, where the shifter's about here somewhere. Here we have one Crewmud carpet back in the body. It's obviously not as fucking pristine clean as it could be, but if you consider the fact that it will be getting completely filthy again, it is a lot easier for me to actually detail and shampoo this, I reckon, while it's in here, as it's got the firm, solid body underneath it that's actually in the shape that it is. Plus, from detailing Eris before, we found it was really easy to clean this carpet while the carpet was in the body, rather than pulling it out to do a full shampoo and clean. So we pull out all the fuses, 2 bolts on the side there, unclip from the side, which you can either just pull out or from up inside the wheel well and get to the plastics corners on them, like so, out of the corners from the inside. And the plastics that need removing are this one here, just that one there on the end, gets pulled out as well. And as far as when it comes to removing any of these, those plastics got to pop off as well. Now, this fuse box should be identical to the old one, so it should just be a matter of taking this D-pin tool that I've got. I've been using this one here, this big chunky, with a little bit of angle on it. Pop it straight in the center, pop it down, pull the fuse up, pull this out, and it pops straight off and out. These ones on here, however, I've been using this jewellery screwdriver to just pop back the piece, and then that slides down and out. And I think I used this one here, the slightly smaller one, for these ones here, as the fuses are slightly smaller. And, you know, after a couple of hours worth of gradual tinkering, we have one entire D-pinned fuse box out of the Addy, which means that I can start working on stripping the interior and swapping it across into the Crewman, as I'll be able to pull that entire dash loom straight out without having to fuck around. That's already been done. I'll wrap that up before I pull it up anywhere and go straight in. No sitting in storage or nothing like that. I'm just going to transfer it over as fucking quick as I can. I have to say, the worst fucking part of buying secondhand fucking cars is the sheer amount of extra fucking wiring that gets just chucked into shit for things. Stripping that shit out's fucking annoying. So, removing the dash. Remove the airbag. Take a flathead screwdriver. There's 4 corners you want to pop. Just pull it in, twist. It'll pop each corner out. 1, 2, 3, 4. You may have to turn the steering wheel. Remove the cluster. 2 screws in the top. Cluster itself. 1, 2, 3, 4. Screws in the corners. Plastics on the side. You will have a screw on the inside here. This one here. And then you will have one on the front and the bottom. In there for the glove box side. And then same over here for this side. You'll have to pop the fuse box spot down so that all pops out. Then you're going to have another screw, which I think is snapped off on this one. So this upper plastic, it's just the one screw, then it pops out and off. Then you need to take this component out, which is a matter of just unplugging it and pulling it off. And then there's your 5th screw across the top, bolt across the top there. You'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 more bolts as well. Since I'm going to be taking this entire interior, I'm actually going to go ahead and remove the entire center console now. So that's as far as you'll have. Just pull the plastic cover out. There'll be 2 10mm nuts under that side. And you will want to remove the sides as well, which should be screw there, and I'm pretty sure there's one down there beside the seat. You need to remove all of those. I'm pretty sure it's the same on the other side. And both those sides come off. And it'll be that screw there, and the 4 screws on the shifter. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this whole center console should just pop straight out. I swear, I keep finding switches that have been put in this bitch. I don't know where the fuck or what they do. There's these 2 here for these sets of wiring. I've never seen that. I don't know what that's for. Well, this one here. There's a switch. Which goes to just a random bit of wiring that unplugs. And it was sitting here. That one's obviously not factory. These ones sort of look factory. I don't know. Alright, screws you're gonna want to take out. There's one here. There'll be 2 here. That connects to the metal bar back there. This one here. Same 2 screws on this side gonna come out. Underneath, you're gonna have the 4 bolts that look like the same as the dash bolts. They are in the back of the airbag. See if I can get my hand up in there. They'll be up in here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 along there. Don't forget them. I forgot them. That's why it took me forever to pop this side out. And then a crossover on the other side. You're going to find it's just screws over this side as well. So you're mainly going to want to get rid of this one here. I think it is. Actually, no, that doesn't have one. It was mainly the ones in here and in here. I gotta double check I'm missing something. 1 screw. 1 screw is apparently all it takes to hold all the rest of that weight. It's right there. That one there is the one I missed. Now the entire dash lifts up and can come out. Pretty sure the reason I forgot that I needed to undo those airbag bolts is because the last Commodore dash I pulled out was the one in the tonner here, and it didn't have an airbag in it at all, so those 4 bolts weren't in it at all. Kind of hard to remove a bolt that's not in there in the first place. I forgot to take into account that the VZ clock springs are different to the VY ones, so as far as fucking... It helps if I take that bolt out. As far as VY steering racks go, they've got the 2 bumps there, whereas the VZ ones sit apart about there. So this will not actually go on properly, so I'm going to have to go and steal this entire front chunk of the steering rack from the Addy as well, which is fine. Just means I won't worry about swapping the key barrels or anything down the track, which I was going to have to do. Just take the key fob from the Addy anyway, so it just takes a chunk out of the process that I was going to have to do and puts it in a different spot instead. When it comes to removing your dash, you're still going to have to disconnect a couple more things. You're going to need to disconnect the plugs for the lights, disconnect the plugs for those. I also disconnect the indicators and the wiper connectors off the steering. As so, you'll have 2 clips on either side. You'll have a large one that goes into the back and another small one, and then you'll have 2 clips on the sides, 1, 2, push them in. That just pops straight off. I may even take the steering rack while I'm in here at this point. All you need to take it off will be a 13mm bolt on either sides of the tops here, and then that whole rack slides off, and we should be able to slide it straight onto the Crewmud rack, hopefully. Once you have got the 2 13mm bolts undone, you will have to undo a couple more little connectors. You've got the one slide-on connector here for this one. That one's the metal ring detector for the fob, I'm pretty certain. Whereas the other one here is just a light which lights up on the key barrel. Then you will also have this connector here, which is off the rear of the key barrel, that comes straight off. And you will have a screw on the underside here, which is just an earth, and that will have to come undone as well. And in just 2 bolts, and it literally just pops straight onto the rest of the steering rack. The VZ1 is now in place. And as you can see, I didn't even have to take out the rest of it, which I thought I was going to have to. It's still all completely bolted up to the steering rack down there, making that job a hell of a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to have to remove bolts off the firewall and pull the entire rack from out of the engine bay straight on out. Today's mission: acquire fucking M86 346 Crewmud diff from a VZSS Thunder. That bitch is gonna get booted the fuck out while it's in the crewy. Finally home from the diff side quest. It's here. It's safe. Now I get to go fucking back to working on that shitbox over there. So I'm just trying to finalise disconnecting all of the other components that are holding this wiring loom on. Most of it's just these plastic clips that'll look like this, or along the centre they're slightly different. They look like that. Most of them you can get to with a pair of these or a pair of these and just pop them out of their holes. I'm trying to find a decent one. Holes like this, and they'll pop through the other side. Just close them shut, pop them through. If you can't, get a smaller one of these, pop them say just behind, and just pull them out, and that should just pop straight back into the hole it was in before. On the Addy Loom, the only one I'm trying to really remember is black on top, green on the bottom for this horn, and a black on this side, green on this side for this horn. Coming back inside, we've got to disconnect the inside fuse box. It's same bolts as what I found in the top of your dash. You'll have one here. Where was it again? Yeah, one on the side here, and one on there, which is originally connected through that hole there. The BCM will fall, so I'm pretty sure it's that slot of hole in the back there it sits in. Then you'll also have, same as these nuts that are holding the airbags on over here, and what we're on the other side will be right there. Right there is that. That'll drop down and then slide across, and that'll pop that plastic off there. The rest is pretty simple as far as popping the clips here up in there for the white ones, and these ones just pop in the clip on there and in there. Same on that one as well, and then just disconnect the other connectors holding airbags and your door connectors and whatnot. So to get to some of this wiring to remove it, disconnecting the PCM and then actually getting to some of these clips, I had to remove the airbag and the frame for it. So the airbag just being these two nuts that I got here, and frame I had to disconnect a screw from in there and a screw from in there. I'd already taken the bolt out from over there, same style bolt as the ones at the top here, and that whole frame just popped out. That's that one sitting over there. And the airbag, I'm worried it's gonna go off. Now it's just a matter of me undoing the rest of these clips, and I'll have an entire dash loom ready to go into Crewmud over there. One of the things I hate most about working on other people's cars or pulling them apart is the spaghetti that they leave in here. What even is this? The only part that's useful on this is this part from the loom, which is the earth for over here. I don't know what the rest of this spaghetti even is. It's shit. Actual garbage. A little handy trick for the brake. These ones. And this is why I'm glad I'm doing this for someone else. These, literally, I can't get it to go back in now. But they twist and they come out. I suspect. Oh, it's this. That's why this one's in there. Yeah, there we go. Down, and then they literally twist and come out. I just spent forever trying to get that unplugged. You fucking twist and come out. So much easier. After those, you're gonna have all these clips down here. You can have the one in there, one in there, one on there. I have a feeling there was another one. I cannot remember. And they will. Oh yeah, and the clips come off for the plug that's sitting here that I don't know, it doesn't have a purpose, it wasn't plugged into anything, and the entire wiring has to come untucked from behind here and back out, which is this one here. So then, yeah, that's almost our entire wiring loom. Just have to untuck it from the back down there and up, and then pop it out through the firewall, and out of the car it'll be. Skipped over it a bit last time because it got real fucking dark, couldn't see shit, but there is our dual climate control heater core. And our Crewmud has a loom again. Now I just gotta place it all in the correct spots and bolt it all back up. Now these connectors that were connected to the brake pedal in the Addy are different to the connectors on the other brake pedal. So I will also need the brake pedal from the Addy along with the accelerator pedal as well, which I'm really hoping just bolts up correctly in the right spot back there. To remove the brake pedal, I've had to undo the 4 bolts on the back of the brake booster. I'm not really worried about the brake pedal looking down in there because this entire shell will be scrapped, so it doesn't matter about the paint so much. I should just be able to pop this brake pedal down and out now that it's got no bolts on it whatsoever. There's only 6 of them, 2 here, 4 around on the brake booster. It's what held our accelerator pedal and our brake pedal in place. Brake pedal also had these 3 bolts here, the big ones, in the holes 1, 2, 3. That should just slot straight out now. Got the heater core back in. As far as the bolts for it, it was the 2 that are inside, which you'll find obviously same spots as before. One up there, one up on the far other side, as I explained when I pulled it apart. You will have to push on the bottom of the heater core so that the firewall ones line up. And if you don't have help at the time, just get a shock absorber. Just push and jam that motherfucker in there. That'll hold it still there. Also don't do what I did. And make sure that your hoses, these ones here, aren't jammed in there, as you'll end up breaking one, like I did. I'm just lucky that I was replacing the heater core, so I just stole the old one off the old heater core. Before I get the actual dash back in, there is one real hard job we need to get done. And this one is a no going back after this. You'll notice, looking right here, that chunk doesn't have a set of factory holes that are in the Addy. Because in the Adventurer, you have a hole here and 2 holes here for the shifter linkage. So I'll be using these 2 holes to determine a location, to drill these 2 holes, drill this hole out as large as I can, and then I'll use a Dremel to match it, to suit as much as I can for that place to just pop straight in there. Now, I can guarantee there was probably a better way to do this, but cardboard from Tuft Mouse is my poison of choice. And if you look here, I have drawn all the holes so that they match. Still going to go get a set of verniers and measure all the holes, so I've got a rough idea of exactly the size drill bits I should be using on them, and all of that. Oh, it's fucking hot. Should match up properly. So smaller holes are done. Not those ones, these ones up here. They're only done by 8.5mm, whereas the big one I've taken out most of the clearance with one of these, which is a 25mm bit, which is normally used on our lathe, but it worked a treat here. Took out most of the material on that there, and I'm just going to use a Dremel to, not a Dremel, a die grinder to take out the rest of the material. Now, for the shifter linkage, I've probably taken out a little bit more material than I had to, but I think I'd rather have it fit first go than having to pull it in and out and in and out to try and figure it out. And I'm going to have to actually remove the gearbox to properly check if it fits properly by slotting it all in. But I have checked like the gaps between here and here and here and here with the verniers, and it's definitely smaller there and smaller there, so it's going to slot in the hole. And that there is definitely way smaller than the hole I've left there, so it'll work. I'm not after perfection, I'm after functionality. I want the damn thing to work. There we go. One Addy linkage style shifter bolted in. How factory does that look? Oh, that's good. That's real good. Now I actually get to put the rest of the interior in now that that's bolted in place. It's not going to be a problem or hassle to put it in after. There we go. All of our behind dash gear is now back in. As far as putting in this side, you're going to start by putting in your air component. Then you're going to put the airbag in. With the bolt, nut there, nut there. Then you're going to do your bar, which bolts 1, 2, 3. This one here. Bolt that in, so that obviously bolts into there. Then you got the one screw here. And the screw here. Those two. Then your 2 bolts, 1, 2, for the airbag will pull that up in the proper position. As for the other side, let me hop over. You want to put this one in first, tuck it in and down. Then you're going to slide the second one in, because that one will slide into the first one. And then pop that one onto the airbox. The only other thing, as far as this interior, you will have to steal this Bosch component from the Adventurer. This one isn't in my Crewmud at all, and it just connects into that plug that was taken off the Loom anyway. Then there's the bar on this one, which is a bolt here, and a bolt up here. And that one just goes in, and it's diagonally up along there. I don't even know if anything's connected to that one, other than it just being a support brace. I think we're ready to chuck the dash back in. And that is one dash and cluster back in the car. Actually starting to take shape in the inside here again a little bit. Most of all of this is just about the little pieces as far as putting it all back together. But that's a majority of this interior done. Realistically, that's all the big components bolted back in. I've been waiting to pop this part in for a little bit, seeing as I didn't want to pop it in properly when I chucked it in the Crewmud the first time. And it's the stereo. Because you got to take off the entire surround to fit this bitch in. Now you do have to be really careful with these surrounds for the dual climate controls, because it's got the cup holder stuff in it. Unfortunately mine's snapped a little bit on the end. You take a bit what you can get. It's only the 3 plugs, 1, 2, and that one there, which your hazard lights, number 3, which should just be the 3 plugs that are sitting in the top there. I have realised I am an idiot and I need other parts of the interior to put those parts of the interior in. Where are they? Now comes part of the fun part for me. It's not necessarily something you have to do with all models, but I got to decide which interior components to use because I will have to reuse some of the Crewmud's interior parts. So this one here is the plastic that sits next to the stereo on the passenger side. That button there would normally be used in sedans to pop the boot, in wagons I'm assuming also to pop the boot. I'm not so sure in adventurers though. It feels weird to have a button on the back and have a button to pop the wagon boot. It probably is, but obviously Crewmud doesn't have that function, so I will take the one from the Crewmud for this, as long as the colour matches up nicely. And I'll pop this in there. Maybe. I got to see what the plug is on it as well, and make sure that this plug on the back, I can blank it off without interrupting any of the functions. Gone ahead and put all of the other plastic surrounds for the dash, so your ones on the sides, one along the top, your sensor for your auto lights and stuff like that, that's all in, and all of your side panels, that's all in, they're in. The gap here, I'm gonna have to figure out why. I'm assuming it's because of this stereo, it's a little too large for what's supposed to be in there. I don't know how the previous owner had it in the Addy, but it also might just come down to the fact that this one's snapped on this side. I think I'm going to end up replacing this entire facade with a new one. I've been having a good look at some of the black VZ Calais ones that I see on Marketplace every now and then. But if you look at the other side, where it's not damaged, it's held in there quite nicely, much better. Much tighter along there. So I'm hoping that if I get a new one and it's screwed in place properly, it shouldn't be so much of an issue. And I'll worry about dremeling out to fit the stereo properly, because I want to keep this one because it's got the maps shit in it, which I think is fun for this car since it goes touring. Overall, anything else that's not in the interior yet that I haven't chucked in is out for purpose or reasoning, especially all of this stuff down the bottom here, because I still need to run my battery relocate wire, as I'll be running the main battery that side with the inverter and the isolator for the dual battery setup, so that the second battery can go in there. So sitting over there, over on the far side of the shed, is the plastics for that. I got to get a Dremel and cut it out so it can be properly mounted in there, along with my vents for it, which I'm probably going to duct through this hole and have the vents come up somewhere in the side here, or maybe even up through in here somewhere, just so the battery's got vent for air. And that's probably where I'm going to wrap this one up. Solid amount of effort. All of your looms are in, most of the interior is in. I'm going to start prepping the engine bay so that we can do them strut towers, and then I can finally put the fuse box back together and in place properly. That will be good. So once the engine bay is prepped, the fuse box is in, I can finally work on the motor, get the harmonic balancer replaced, replace the rear main seal, roll this car around to the hoist, and drop the entire drivetrain in, and this thing will run again. Only other parts I'm waiting on at the moment are CVs for the front, because these ones are buggered. So you can have a geese. That one's shot, and that one's missing parts. Oh well, shit happens. I'm also waiting on engine mounts, as that one there is completely rusted out. I'm probably going to go with Polylast. They're a decent brand and they get used by the Addies all the time. Overall, that's a wrap up.